Question 3. What did you learn from audience feedback? Before I could complete this question, I had to look back to the progression of my coursework and at what different stages I got feedback from my target audience. The different stages were potential ideas presentation, potential ideas audience survey, first draft shooting script, first cut, final cut, potential ancillary product ideas, final ancillary product feedback, blog feedback. Because I have worked independently during A2 in comparison to AS level, I asked for audience feedback more frequently throughout the process in order to make sure that I met genre conventions and kept a high standard of work throughout the entire task. What did I learn from my audience feedback? Potential ideas. The potential ideas pitch and online survey really helped me to define my ideas for my music video. The survey was useful because I got results from a wide variety of audiences from different places in the world. On the survey, I asked questions such as which genre the audience preferred, what narrative and theme ideas audiences wanted to see in the music video. In addition to the survey, I presented a 3 potential ideas pitch to my class peers and got their feedback on 3 ideas that were included within my audience survey. I presented my ideas to my peers in order to get their feedback on which idea was the strongest overall. It was important to bounce back off feedback in order to help create my desired finished product that would link to my genre and target audience of 16 to 22-year-olds. For each idea, I presented a small narrative description along with the themes and issues that would be addressed and editing or shot specifics that I had in mind. I also referred to how I would meet the codes and conventions of that genre and how this choice would relate to my target audience. I asked the audience to review my 3 potential ideas and give me strengths, weaknesses and improvements on each idea. I recorded these results in a table in order for me to compare my results and help decide which potential idea would most suit my genre and target audience. For idea 1, my peers thought that the narrative idea was very unique and interesting. However, they made me think about if I would have access to the filming location, which would have been a hospital, and also filming someone having a life-threatening accident. I agree with this looking back because it probably would have ended up looking very unprofessional because I wouldn't have been able to film in a hospital easily. In addition, they also suggested that I may not be able to create a relationship with many of the target audience because some of them may not have experienced this kind of situation before. For idea 2, the feedback that I gained was that the narrative was very strong because it was something that my target audience would be able to relate to. They would be able to create a relationship with the characters. However, they did suggest that I shouldn't include the performance element within the video because it could look very unprofessional if I use actors, which I would have had to. The feedback also inspired me to ensure that I chose strong actors for the roles of the couple. After receiving the feedback, I realised that idea 3 was the weakest idea of them all, because there were more weaknesses than for the other idea. Similar to the first idea, my peers suggested that it may be difficult to show that the boy was schizophrenic, and the editing updates that I used would have had to be of a very high standard. This put me off the idea because since completing my AS coursework, I hadn't used Final Cut Pro since. Therefore, I had forgotten a lot of techniques and I knew editing for this video would be complex and time consuming. I finally decided the most appropriate potential idea was the second idea because it had less weaknesses than the other 2 ideas. The filming and editing process would be easier because of the easy access filming locations and span to develop my editing, however, not putting too much pressure on myself to create a complex finished product that still looks professional. Thanks to the Potential Ideas online survey and pitch feedback, I realised what difficulties I would face during each process of creating the product. I hadn't really thought about the access to filming in a hospital or how professional using or how professional actors would be to be the band members. I needed to ensure that I had a clear, deep and meaningful narrative that looked professional and realistic, so that my target audience would be able to relate to the characters. Shooting script feedback. I asked for feedback from my class peers on my first draft shooting script ideas. I did this so that I could get a clear depiction of the shots that I would need to take when I came to filming days. I created a handwritten shooting script and asked my class peers to give me feedback on the shots I produced. I asked for positives and negatives of my shots. Because my music genre was alternative rock, I needed to ensure that the shots in my music video did represent the rock genre, however were still different and unusual. The feedback that I gained stated that I would represent the alternative rock genre due to the time-lapse shot, because it is a very unusual shot and will make the video visually interesting immediately because of the first shot. The strongest positive that the feedback suggested was that I had included alternatives for if some shots didn't work out, so I would film both shots on the filming days and then see which one looked best in the editing process. Other shots were ones such as a variety of shots and that were more complex shots, because they looked more individual and they would look very professional if they worked out. This leads me on to the negatives of my shooting script, which suggested that I needed to explain in more detail my various shots because I had imagined them out in my head, but my peers couldn't actually picture the shot happening because the description wasn't clear enough. The feedback did reveal that some of my shots were too long, if they were about 9 seconds long, and it would seem quite boring to the audience. They suggested that I broke down the shots into different angles of the same subject, if that is the stage of the importance. This would keep the on-screen visuals interesting. This feedback really helped me in my final shooting script because I hadn't thought about any of my shots being too long, so this helped me to keep my video interesting. The feedback also stated that some of my shots were quite repetitive. However, these were shots such as the same shot of the girl and then contrasting with the same shot of the boy. I chose to repeat these shots in order to show the relationship between the two characters. I am really glad that I asked my peers for feedback for my shooting script because this is what I needed to do in order to aid me into doing my final shooting script, drawn and photographic storyboard, and my actual filming. If I was filming random shots, I may have taken long shots and they could have then seemed very boring, or taken too many repeated shots of actors, for example. Writing the shooting script out and seeing it on paper, then getting feedback on it really helped me to be. Ancillary product drafts. I found the stage of getting draft feedback for my ancillary products essential because it aided me to ensure that I would be linking to all 3 products together and meeting the expectations of my target audience. I had to make sure that I included all of the conventional aspects that the audience would expect to see on a magazine advertisement and digipack album, such as a track list on the back cover of the digipack. I created 2 potential ideas for my advertisement drafts, and from the audience feedback I found that people actually liked both aspects of the idea. They thought that I could combine both of the ideas' imagery in order to make it more interesting and surreal, which then linked to my music genre of alternative rock, keeping in the style of the band You Meet Six's past album covers, which have been very surreal. On both advertisements, the feedback suggested that they could see how I had applied the rule of thirds to my ideas. However, I should ensure that the band's name was larger than the album name and featured centrally towards the top of the advert. The feedback also suggested that I should be advertising the digipack rather than the single, Cold Night. This would link the 3 products together better. After I had the feedback to mix the 2 adverts together, featuring the actors from my music video and the landscape of the tree, I knew that I must apply both subjects to my digipack design in order to link the products together. My original first ideas were of the same landscape image featured on my advert, on the front cover with the band name over the top, and then my second idea was the two characters looking out over the Roaches location, where a lot of the filming had taken place. The feedback from my peers suggested that I use the same imagery from my finished magazine advert in order to make clear, synergised links between all three products. The audience were impressed with the use of the phone to present the track list on, because it is the same shot from the music video, so an audience member would recognise this and link the products together. In conclusion, the feedback that I collected at various stages of the process of making my finished products taught me to meet my full potential. After working in a team at AS level, I was used to bouncing back and forth ideas with my teammates. However, when I had to work independently for A2, feedback was much more vital because it was the only communication that I had with my target audience. The feedback helped me to learn, develop and keep my ideas on track, aiding in my success to create a professional finished product.